Greetings and welcome to Calm, Clear Conversations. I'm Christopher Johnson with Calm, Clear Communications. And with me is, consultant, entrepreneur, uh, all things possible and doable, Gina King.
Close enough. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Wait, what did I leave out?
Who knows?
Okay,
Whatever it takes.
absolutely. So, Gina, it is a pleasure to have a conversation with you. Now, we go back a little bit. We have worked together in corporate America.
Absolutely. You've seen me in person, so.
I've seen you in person. And all right,
Absolutely.
for those of you that do not know, Gina is 6'5".
Uh-oh, no.
No?
No, not at
But
all.
we're the same height right here. So
Uh,
okay, I'm not 6'5" either. But no, there is a certain alchemy, a certain magic when you know people in real life and then have a chance to have a conversation with them. So, Gina, of all the things that I mentioned, how would you introduce yourself?
how would I introduce myself? I would
Mhm.
say I I'm excited to be able to help is what I would say. So whatever that means for people, I'm excited to help. I can't believe I get to help. The gratitude from that makes me feel responsible to be helpful because I really enjoy it.
Okay. And all right, cybersecurity,
Yes,
is that an area that a lot of people need help in?
absolutely. So I think everything is kind of an art. And I think that when people do things that we prefer, we call them innovative. When they do things that we don't prefer, we label them, and some of those people get labeled cyber criminals when we need to figure out a way to find places to include those types of people because there's an economic uncertainty that's rising. And with that, people who would turn to a criminal lifestyle that could also rise. So we need to figure out a way to keep that from happening, to include more people, to involve more people so they're not marginalized and end up becoming criminals for some reason.
Mm, that's a deep statement.
Yes.
Um, but all right, whose responsibility is cybersecurity?
So it's my belief, and it's just my opinion, that we're all already in cyber. Just some of us are active and some of us are not. And the reason I believe that is cybersecurity to me is really about protecting people.
Hmm.
So anyone, even children, could be attacked, either advertently or on purpose. And so as a result, we're all in it. I think cybersecurity is just as important as healthcare. And I really believe that people should have some type of training or even have to achieve some type of license to even be online, just to be aware of the risks they are taking. And it's a lot. It's a lot.
I wholeheartedly agree. Uh, years ago, there were the basics of PCs or IT, and there should be something, you know, at least to handle the basics and explain certain things. Um, so I was explaining, I have two children. They're wonderful. I was explaining least privilege to my youngest child.
Yeah.
She's a driver. She needed some car repairs done, and she was taking the car herself. She gave her whole key ring to
Oh,
the intake person. And I said, so here's least privilege. How many keys do they need to get the job done? Well, then that's the only one you need to give them. So if something else, you know, if they don't need the key to this, this, and this, then don't give it to them.
absolutely.
Explaining it that way, she had a better understanding. I can talk about least privilege around the dinner table, and the room will clear fast.
Yes. You hear a hush.
I
Yeah.
hear a hush and a whoosh. It's like,
Yes.
wait, where did
Yes.
everyone go? But when you make it relatable, and So how do we do that in cybersecurity so that everyone sees it as their responsibility?
It's stories just like that because even in organizations where it's a lot to put on an employee to also think about cyber, but it's also a burden to make them responsible for levels of access that they don't need and they don't even know they have. So often when I'm talking to organizations or small businesses and things, I address it in that way. What if you had access to things that could put you at danger or make you a target and you weren't even aware? Let's not do that. Let's not set people up to be attacked. So it's just those stories that you're talking about. And I have a lot of them. So,
Well, that's a good thing.
yeah.
Now, as an entrepreneur, does this how does this play into entrepreneurship? I mean, every large company that I've worked in has had a cybersecurity uh, department where there is training. They send out uh, education notices. Hey, we're sending out a phishing scam to see if you bite.
Right.
Congratulations, you didn't. Uh, but for the entrepreneur, what does that mean?
I will be talking about this very topic live next week in Detroit. But what I'm aiming to do is bring together a lot of those small businesses to collaborate and kind of talk about some of the experiences they've had. Because every time I talk with someone in a small business, they've had either some type of breach or obscene amount of risk. And small business owners, entrepreneurs, they're innovators too. So to expect them to also be cybersecurity professionals is insane. They're trying to keep the lights on, they're trying to keep everything going, and to say, well, in addition to that, you also have to protect your data and all that. So I'm really trying to help them understand that we need them to raise their standards in terms of the different ways the cybersecurity industry can bring these nebulous, ambiguous terms out of the cloud and make them something relatable that we can talk about so that we can focus our resources and get things done. And so I'll be talking about that and trying to help entrepreneurs instead of shying away from it, have some expectations, drive the issue, get help, because often they don't get help.
Now, should it be an automatic part of anything that's business to business?
Oh, absolutely. Because if one company's at risk, we're all at risk. Because if I'm working with your company and you have some risk, now I'm exposed. So a lot of the projects I run are global in nature, having to do with third party risk and that. And what made me so passionate about this is I started seeing a lot of the smaller companies on lists with just cybersecurity posture that was in the garbage. And so as this economic uncertainty rises and the crime rises, those companies will likely be submerged in crime and then having to deal with the economics of it all. And it could force a company to shut their doors. So we see
Mhm.
it from time to time. And I just want to try to avoid that however I can help.
Now, are there standards in place that small businesses can adhere to?
So I'm kind of on the fence about that one because I hate checked boxes. And what I mean by that is if there's a box that you can check to say the door is closed, as soon as you check that box, if I open the door, does that check go away? Likely not. So I think cybersecurity should be more like a living mindset that we're constantly taking the pulse of what we're doing, where we could be at risk, and constantly taking a look at it. I know that there are a lot of certifications and things that people can go after, and those are helpful. But in terms of totally decreasing cyber risk, there's really no way to keep your business open and not have some risk. So I think it's more about the day to day, the mindset of what you do and how you do things all the time to try to keep that risk down.
There's no set it and forget it.
Unfortunately, no. But I do believe that people are our best attempt at knowing when there's an anomaly. And if we allow those individuals to have enough information, have enough stories to have the type of mindset that they can help us. So instead of it just being a handful of cybersecurity people in the dungeon, it could be the entire organization trying to keep everyone safe.
All right, so hang on a second. Not all IT people live in the dungeon. Okay, well, never mind. Um, no, but it is. So it sounds like it is a ongoing conversation between the company, its employees, and its partners.
Absolutely.
Um, and so, with that in mind, it really if you want people to have that conversation, then it can't be a punitive sort of measure.
Absolutely.
You
Yep.
clicked on the phishing link that we sent out as a test?
Yes.
Bob.
Yeah. That's upsetting sometimes when employees experience that. Because then people feel embarrassed, and their ability to innovate and make the connection, it turns off, and now they're thinking, they're internalizing, and we don't need that.
So yeah, and one of the keys uh, with the stories, making it plain, just making it relatable. When people are able to relate it, people are able to recognize, oh,
Yes,
that's a risk.
yes, yes, yes. Or even to feel comfortable enough to ask the question, is this a risk? So we can take a look. Because if someone felt uncomfortable, there's something about it, and we can look. Systems often can't do that.
True.
It's either on or it's off. Yes.
Now, what about the role of uh, bring your own device? So, what should people and companies do if they're going to be using their own device in a corporate setting?
There are different strategies, but I would say organizations need to figure out how to recognize that the individuals that work with them are a part of a community. And so, organizations that recognize you want to educate your community so even at home they feel more protected. Now you're bringing a more safe and secure person into your environment versus bringing them in and telling them they have to expose all of their personal information to the company. That largely doesn't work. So either organizations have to set up strategies where they're providing a device and separating that information, or going through and having some criteria in terms of what types of devices can come in. But I think a holistic view is the way we want to go, because again, if someone's at risk, we're all at risk. It's just a matter of time before the innovators that are doing things the way we don't intend will figure out a way around our processes, policies, laws. So we have to be as flexible and keep moving forward.
And people are usually uh, one of the one of the vectors that uh, where there's risk. Someone clicking on something.
Yes.
Uh, you know, sure, people attack server rooms or networks or those things, but it's usually the easiest thing is usually people. So that's why education plays a role.
Yes. And a philosophy change. So when you were talking about least privileges, setting people up where they're not inadvertently exposing things and they don't have the knowledge, and then educating them. So if they happen to have the knowledge, because things are changing and we miss something, we're not perfect, then they notice, wait a minute, there's something happening here that I need to be more careful of, or I need to raise my standards in terms of how this organization is presenting this to me because I sense a risk. I do it all the time.
Okay, and all right, that just made me think about how, in general, individuals use their phones or their mobile devices. Uh, People have gotten accustomed to allow access. So such and such an app wants to access your camera and microphone, and you may think, all right, you may not think anything about it and just give access. But
Yeah,
if you think about it, what do they need to do that for? What
exactly.
privileges do they need? Now, my GPS, yeah, I want them to know my location so they can tell me where I'm going. Uh, but, Wordle,
Right. Yeah, do they really need to know? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
when I'm getting frustrated and on my fifth guess, yeah, no one needs to hear that.
That's great. Yeah. I think often people think it's okay to expose their information because they don't have anything to hide. And I often try to get people to recognize, in this particular area, you may not have anything to hide, but if they're using that to gain access to other things that you don't want them to have access to, you're giving them another key to the lock. And so, least privilege all the way through.
All right, so that I have nothing to hide. That's a really interesting statement.
Yeah.
I would bet everyone that says that still locks their door at night.
I hope so. I hope
I
so.
have nothing to hide. Come in anytime you want.
Yeah,
Take a look around. No, no one should operate that like that. And I mean, so with cybersecurity, what is the role? What is the relationship between cybersecurity and ID theft?
yeah. So, in a scenario where someone has stolen my ID, just as an example, they can then behave as me and sometimes without my knowledge. So, I've been in situations where I'm helping the organization because maybe an email came through from an individual that sat on the board. And as a result, people started responding with confidential information because to them, they're getting it from someone who has a particular ID. And then we find out later that that person's email has been spoofed or they have inadvertently gotten access to that person's account. Sometimes it's not even on purpose, and so that information is now outside of the organization. So, and then personally, people can use your ID for everything from purchasing vehicles to purchasing homes, like you name it, because no one's really checking. So you really have to be vigilant on your own with your identity and where your information goes. I actually, keep a log. If I sign something, if I use my credit card someplace. I don't leave it up to the bank to try to track that. I keep track of all that myself. So if something should happen, um, logging a case, with the FBI or the CIA, it's almost throwing a penny in the ocean if they get to it. So you're really on your own with it, and
Yeah,
so people should take every measure they can to be able to be certain about what they've done with their identity. It's important.
I wholeheartedly agree. That's something that people should check on a regular basis. Uh, and companies, I think that should be part of that whole what you need to know just to go through life. One of those cybersecurity basics. All right, your ID is who you are online. Protect it.
Yes. And your online identity likely should not match who you are in real life. So even though it may be your name, you don't want to use like your social security number for a password or your driver's license number for different things because that's can end up being very costly right away. But people still
Absolutely.
put their social security number on Facebook like it's unbelievable to me, but it happens.
That, or, you may have seen photos of someone really excited. They got their first credit card.
Yes. Number. Right. Absolutely.
No, that's nothing that should be shared.
Yep.
Um, the Should that be in the schools as well? Then,
Well, absolutely. I think when people access the internet, they should be educated. Just like if you learn how to drive. So at the point where you want to access the internet, there should be some continuous education about what's going on, whether we have to gamify it or what is necessary, or else everyone's at risk. So absolutely, in schools. Mhm.
hmm. All right. And I'm going to share a link because we were talking about ID theft.
Yes.
I would encourage everyone to go to the ftc.gov. So that is where you can get resources to combat ID theft,
Hmm.
as well as uh, information on what to do if it has happened to you. So
Absolutely.
that, it should be one of those things that I used to joke with some folk about, you know, passwords or password hygiene should be a little bit like dental hygiene.
Mm.
You wouldn't change, you wouldn't use the same toothbrush for everyone in the household
Uh-oh.
forever.
Don't do that.
No, everyone has their own because they're
Chris.
unique. And you change it on a regular basis because you're supposed to. And then you go to your dentist twice a year to just make sure everything's okay. So you can do the same thing with your passwords.
I'll never forget that analogy, and it's very important because I think some people think if they've been hacked by a criminal, they immediately know it. But sometimes they'll just sit there and watch what you do until you do something that they care about. And they've been watching your habits, and you don't notice until it's too late. So, but I won't forget that toothbrush thing. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And people, generally instantly get that.
Yes.
Do
Yeah.
you want to share the toothbrush with your neighborhood? No.
Uh-oh. What? No.
But
Yes.
why are you sharing your password among everything?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah, there. So you see that a lot in corporate America, where a company may have been breached. They found out about it in August, but it really happened back in
Yes.
December.
Yes. Yes. It's similar to, when cell phones came out and they became so popular, and then iPhones, the companies who come out with those products, they know 2, 3, 4 years in advance what's going to come out because they're research and development, they're creating it. Criminals do the same thing. Just because they find access or they find, an inventory or find some kind of um, valuable thing they want to go after, they don't immediately attack it often. They do reconnaissance, they study, they may trip a couple wires to see how the teams act and respond, and they meticulously plan what they're going to do. So sometimes they're sitting in these organizations for 2, 3, 4 years, just doing little things so that they can create this domino impact where the organization doesn't even know what happened until sometime later.
Okay. So, what are a couple of things that an individual can do, and a couple of things that an entrepreneur can do?
So I think you think I'm going to say something about cyber, but I'm not, because cybersecurity is really about protecting people. So one of the things I would say is everyone should recognize that um, everything has trade-offs, and what I mean by that is you've never seen a one-sided slice of bread. It's just not something that can happen. So anytime you see something online that it seems like, oh my God, this is great, I guarantee you there's also something that's really bad about that thing. So you want to think about, how can this impact me? Even though there's, this product or this tool or whatever has all these great benefits, the likelihood that there's something brand new that's being created these days is zero. There's something that they're luring you for a reason. Pay attention, know what that is. Because sometimes it could be that they're trying to get your email address. And as a result of them doing this over here, now they want this other piece of information. And with a couple key pieces of information, they can figure out everything that they want to know about you. So be careful. Um, Another thing I would say is watch the communities that you're in, um, and the connections that you make. Even out on LinkedIn, you want to make sure that it kind of makes sense why people are connecting with you. And if not, it's fine to try to find out why and to watch those relationships before you just accept those connections, because it could be one individual posing as several different connections trying to get information. So just be aware of that. Um, I would also say, uh, and this is going to sound weird, if you haven't had like an economics 101 course, find a free one online. And after, I'll find a link, because some of the things that we think are happening are impossible. And if you understand economics and how everything has a cost, you realize that some of the things, some of the tactics and scenarios and things that we think are taking place would just be impossible. Um, the way that our world is configured. So you want to watch out for that. So those would be the key things that I would mention right away for people.
Okay. And that's something that everyone can do, whether they are an individual in an organization or an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, follow the money. Follow, when people say I did my research, I always wonder. So whatever you research, did you look at who's funding that information? Because that might, change where you land.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so that calls into question the old adage of trust but verify. So it's
Oh, don't trust.
don't trust,
Verify
verify.
again, and wait. If you don't have to make a right now decision, why? If you feel a sense of urgency or they're compelling you to do something right away, you should feel alarmed.
And that is one of the vulnerabilities that you often see exploited.
Yes.
I'm trapped in this foreign country. I know I didn't tell anybody I was going, uh, but
Yeah.
I need this amount of money before sun up just so I can get out of this. Yeah,
Yeah. 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 And if you're in a community that's not either challenging you or helping you expand your community, find some different people. Um, you should be in a community that's being helpful.
absolutely. Now, you mentioned you're speaking next week
Yes.
uh, in front of a community of entrepreneurs?
Yes, minority businesses, and I want to get you in the group. um,
Okay, I
yeah,
want to join the group.
absolutely.
Tell
So,
me more about the group.
yeah, Minority Michigan Businesses. It's called, the acronym is MMSDC. So they have a network of small businesses and then a network of larger organizations that are trying to help and be supportive and partner with those companies. And I really try to be helpful and do everything I can to also be helpful with small businesses. And so I'm talking about cybersecurity, some of these things I'm mentioning, trying to create a collaborative environment where we can make our next best step in terms of protecting companies. So I'm excited.
Okay, and so how many? Well, what is the attendance, and is it going to be in person or virtual?
I
And
will be there in person. So I'll be traveling to the Detroit area in person, and I'll provide the link. And I'm sure there'll be, close to 10,000 different organizations there. So I've been um, calling as many as I can to figure out who will be there and who won't. And if they won't be there, trying to schedule some time with them because I still want to talk. I recognize not everybody can be in attendance, but I'm excited to talk with them and schedule some times where we can help small businesses take some of those, low hanging fruits and do something with them, and create some collaborative groups. And there's also a lot of cybersecurity companies and things that I've worked on a global level that are willing to help me and be supportive. And so I'm excited about it.
all right, if someone needs help with their cybersecurity setup, who should they reach out to? I mean, you know,
Reach out to
hey,
me. I'm helpful. So, and if I
okay.
can't help you, I'll find somebody to help you. But yeah,
So wait, but I might have a nephew's cousin's son that has a computer that shouldn't be my go-to.
absolutely not. There was one small business I was working with that was trying to partner with a larger organization. And when his environment was scanned, there was a laptop he had given to his son that his son then sold on eBay that ended up in a different country. And as a result of some applications he left on that machine, it was like a beacon on the internet. And so we're working hard to get that machine back because it has some very valuable information on it. So, and some small businesses that I've met where the owners have decided to refurbish or repair or replace their machines and then give the machines away, even locally. We want to make sure we properly clean that equipment and that we're not using the same iPhone for Facebook as we do when we're doing business with other people and exposing everybody and making it risky for everyone. So just talking about some of those things.
Okay, so there should be a checklist of what happens even in disposal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't just toss it.
Yep. And educating the employees, educating everyone so that people are aware and they know they can get their questions answered. Yep. So I do everything from expertise on demand with some of the larger companies that I've worked with, or some cybersecurity professionals that are just really great people who understand I can be kind of overwhelming with trying to help, that are trying to help me um, make this something that where I feel like I'm making an impact. So
Okay. Making a difference, it always feels, there's such a warm feeling that comes from that when you make a difference.
absolutely, I feel it's a duty. I'm responsible to do this because um, I'm filled with gratitude that I have the information to be able to help. So I feel responsible to share it with people. So you're absolutely right.
Okay. Now, there is more to life than cybersecurity.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm curious. Uh, Leaders are learners, and you're a leader.
Mhm.
What are you reading? What are you listening to?
What am I reading? What am I listening to? So, what I'm reading, there's a book called, well, this has to do with cyber, but there's a really good book called The Gift of Fire that I'm enjoying right now, having to do with cyber. And I'm reading a lot of white papers on different grants and proposals to help small businesses, and not only with cyber. So, I feel like the only way I'm really going to be able to help them is if I overall improve their business maturity so that they can do better in the market. That way, if we do have to make some investments having to do with cyber, it's not so devastating. So I've been working really hard with writing grants and proposals to kind of help the businesses that I'm working with to kind of just improve their footprint overall. So
Okay. And so that is, I imagine, a regular and ongoing thing, not just a, well, we have a couple days at the end of the quarter, let's
yeah.
do this.
Yes, it takes a lot. And how I fell into it is I am a professional instructor. I've been doing that more than 10 years. I've taught over 400 technology courses for bachelor's and master's level courses. And I'm finding more and more that the institutions are still trying to recoup pre pandemic coursework, even though the entire world is different. So I've backed away from that. But my hunger to teach and help, I've now focused that on businesses and trying to help them. And then if I should meet people who want to know more about cybersecurity, I try to connect them with grassroots efforts, learning about cyber to try to maintain that sense of innovation, because the people who are attacking us, that's what they're doing. They're innovating. And so those cyber certifications and degrees, those can be great. I really think it's about a mindset of being able to figure it out real time. And so that's how I fell into this whole.
Okay. Now, all right, teaching that many courses,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, how has education changed?
So when we first started off, you made a comment about, everyone should be learning a little something about cyber.
Hmm.
And I think that the problem is it hasn't changed. They have not absorb the fact that cybersecurity is covering everything. And so we're still pumping out people who have no idea what's going on. And so as a result, we're starting off with a risky group of people that are graduating, every so many months, um, when we really need to be looking at everything we're putting out there for every age and figuring out where do we weave in how to protect yourself, how to get help, how to recognize when you may be the victim of an attack.
So and if this, I'm not sure how this will sound,
Okay,
but a sort of a home ec for the modern age. I mean,
absolutely.
because before, home ec was something that showed you in general, hey, here are just the bare minimum basics on how to have a household. All right, a little bit of cooking, a little bit of balancing a checkbook, um, and cyber should be part of that, or
Absolutely.
digital, because yeah.
Yep. And we have to make it easy for people. So a lot of the cyber vocabulary and stuff, I work really hard to break that down, especially for certain industries. I want to use their stories, their terminology. Um, and so I've been really successful at that because once they understand, then the interest rises and they have questions. And that's where I need them, is where they have questions, they're raising their standards, they want clarity around it, because then I can help them. Yeah.
Yeah, and the stories are what connect us. I mean, we people connect, identify, relate to stories.
Yes.
If you just tell people your password needs to be 12 characters, upper and lowercase, special characters, and no common words that can be looked up in the dictionary.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's a lot. Can't I just, like, not have a password?
Well, if I show you how quickly I could break a password that has 8 characters, that does something to you.
Like, all right,
Yeah,
so your password was this,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
gee, it took me,
Yeah.
less than a
That's
minute.
my
Wow.
favorite
Look at
holiday
your bank
trick.
balance. Look at
Yeah,
what your bank balance used to be.
exactly. It's
What
my favorite
the?
holiday trick when I visit people is breaking into their Wi-Fi. Yeah. It's like I can get your password. They're like, no, it's super whatever. Yeah, yeah. So
That must make for fun holiday gatherings. Sit around the Thanksgiving table. Hey, here are the passwords at the table, and here's some things you all need to take care of.
yeah, or if I can look at their Facebook and figure out a whole bunch of things about them because it's in the pictures throughout
Yeah,
Facebook. Yes.
we are. the drive for connection has sometimes led to oversharing. So, yeah, we still need to be protective of our information. Just like we have a lock on the door, open access does not mean access to everything. So, well, Gina,
Absolutely.
this has been just a delight. Now, I know you are carefully screening in those who would like to connect with you.
Absolutely.
Uh, but if somebody makes a personalized invite, hey, I saw you on this program. Are you open to connections?
Yeah, and if they mention your program, I'm going to raffle off a couple swag items. I got to figure out what they were. I put a poll out there, but people were mentioning different things I'd never be able to get, like items that belong to superstars. So I'm gonna have to try a different way to figure out what to raffle off. But yeah,
I'm eligible, right?
yes, absolutely. Yeah,
A new car?
no, no.
Well, okay. Despite that, no. I have shared your LinkedIn profile in the comments. I
Fantastic.
encourage people to reach out, personalize the invitation to connect, mention this program, let Gina know that you are interested in swag.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And all right, we're going to have to schedule another conversation because looking at the calendar, October is Cybersecurity Month.
Oh, great.
So, uh, this can be all right, you should do something. And then in October, we can follow up. Did you do something?
I'm all for tracking. Yes.
If it's tracked, then yeah, it's measured and yeah, it makes a difference.
Absolutely.
So again, Gina, thank you so much. This has been a delight. It is always a treat to connect and interact and laugh because laughter is important.
It is. It's very important.
See,
Great.
you have a great laugh, and that's laughter is one of those things. We should engage in it more.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. As often as you can.
As daily,
Yes. Oh, multiple times a day.
multiple times a day. Okay. Well, thank you again,
Absolutely.
and thank you all for watching. Interested in learning more about any of the items that you've seen in today's session? Leave a comment below. Interested in being a guest? Leave a comment below. I help event planners and organizers produce virtual events. Learn how I can support your virtual event by connecting or leaving a comment. Thanks for watching.